With me, as always, my coach and yours, Coach Stacey B. Coach, how's your weekend?
Awesome weekend. Carnivals, and found out our grandchild is going to be a granddaughter, so that was cool. So it's a
Congrats.
girl, and now I'm sitting here in Tennessee this week. It's my parents' 67th wedding anniversary, so we brought them up to the mountains to spend a few days. So
Oh my goodness.
lots
And
of
we're
good stuff
stealing
happening.
and we're stealing time for this. Well, thank you and happy anniversary to your parents. Let them know. We said
Yeah,
thank you.
but how about you, dude? What's up?
Oh man, it's been crazy. Obviously, ever since we talked about this little media thing we got going on, and the coaching along with marketing and that, it's really just been a whirlwind of holy cow, we can really kind of help some people. So it's exciting. There's some crazy things going on, but weekend was actually relaxing, which was good. We did have trunk or treats. My daughter's school had that, which was awesome. It was so fun. They did really well. So shout out to all the trunks there, and obviously happy Halloween to everybody who is going to be. Hopefully it does stay dry or not so cold. But here it's supposed to rain and be
Yeah, it's
bad.
gonna
I don't. It,
gonna be
it
messy, so go prepared. But there's no reason to stay in from the rain, man. There's free candy to be had. Take those
but
kids out.
listen, rain or shine, we're going. We're going. There's no doubt about that. But I am excited to have our next guest. So I gotta share this, Coach. Well, I'm kind of one who probably overshares too much sometimes, but I when he first reached out so he was one of the first that actually in our world, in our space. He has a huge background in franchising, with Little Caesars, Sports Clips, and some other things that we'll get into. But he reached out to and said, "Hey, I think I'd love to be a guest on your show." And I'm like, "Oh my god, Coach, they want to be on our show now. This is awesome." But and so I was excited about that. But then really, shout out to Ryan, Ryan Arcaraci, obviously over at Business Stories, the podcast there. But he was just recently on there and got to see his episode, and that got me even more excited to have him on. Hearing his background so he started his first franchise, and I think even in the episode he mentioned he is only going to start any business with his brother. His brother's his best friend. That's who he does his business with. I think that's freaking awesome because me and my brother are actually doing this media group, and me and my family a long time ago started a teen dance club, which so I understand the dynamics of that and butting heads and different things. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and him and
Family
Ryan got
businesses can be interesting.
they can be very interesting, but at the same time, if you could figure it out like him and his brother did from again hearing their story on Business Stories with Ryan, it's no wonder why he's killing it, and he's also the chair of the where we're trying to get Coach, right.
Yes,
Hopefully we can get
sir.
them to a multi-unit franchising conference next year in Las Vegas. So one of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things
We're
and
we're,
Kat,
we're, we're gonna go live from that conference regardless of anything else. We're gonna make that happen.
we're doing it. Yes, I agree. But one of the things I loved in one of his quotes from Cast Magic is you've got some great skills and talents, but you got no experience running an actual business. And these people will help you. And that was one of his quotes about franchising. I thought that was gold. I was like, oh my goodness, yes, that's franchising. That is why I love franchising. It really is a system already there that just kind of helps you understand the parts of business that you don't know. So they're there to help if you're with the right system. But I'm excited to get them on. Coach, any final things before we get this going?
No, dude, we got to get this thing started.
Yeah, I know we're in.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
Jesse,
Hey,
what's up, man? Thank you so much for joining us.
yeah, DJ Stacey, thanks for having me on.
Man, thanks for being here.
Of course. So obviously, I gave a little intro, and don't want to. Again, you were just on with Ryan, so I don't want to kind of go over too much of what they can get from your recent episode with Ryan, but want to, if you could, give a brief background again on how you got involved in franchising and your passion to franchising. Because like I led with your quote from Ryan's show, I was like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, he gets it.
I'll give the real fast version of that story, just because it's a good story. So while in college, I was making a name for myself in our fraternity chapter, to the point where alumni were like, "Hey, who the heck is this guy?" You know, because I was bucking trends and doing things that were non-traditional. So I had a fan club and I had an enemies club, right? Well, the fan club recognized me and was like, "We want you to come work with us." And I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me about this." And it was a technology startup company, right? This is 1997. I'm a junior in college. So I worked for them senior year, and I attempted about 6 weeks of grad school before I realized I was making more than the professors. And I didn't care what they were really telling me, because it was the opposite of what I was doing to be successful. It was the wild, wild west back then. So anyway, years go by. I'm making great money, but I'm saving it all. I didn't fall into that trap that most salespeople get into, where as soon as they get a nice big commission check, they go buy a big house or they go buy a big car, go on big vacations. I just squandered all that money into a savings account. That's how I squandered it, into a savings account. Anyway,
Smart.
So I'm getting ready. The company I'm working for, I really enjoy it, but the deal is, and here's to their credit, they allowed me to be extremely entrepreneurial with it. I mean, if it was going to stick to the wall, I could do it, you know? So I got that bug in me that I wanted to do something, but I wanted to own it. And they're just never going to make me a share or an owner of the company, which I understand. So my brother and I were getting ready to buy a local pizzeria, just a mom and pop thing. And he goes, "Hey, don't do that." He's like, "You need to get into a franchise." And immediately I go, "Well, what's a franchise?" I'm like 23 at the time. And he's like, "Well, they're basically going to teach you how to run a business." And like we said from the quote earlier, you've got a lot of great skills and abilities, but you don't know how to run a business. So these guys will help you do that. So got on the internet, did a quick search, came across one, found it, and it was Little Caesars. And we jumped in that one before the whole hot and ready explosion came about. It was happening, but it wasn't public. It was like top secret at the time. This is like 2004. So their website still said they did delivery, and it was pizza. It wasn't the $5 hot and ready that we all know now. So it was the right time, right place, got in. And I'm very thankful. The things that I learned from that franchisor alone completely changed my understanding of how business worked in general. I mean, with the technology thing, you didn't have food, paper, and labor. So you could get pretty crazy in your marketing spend or your labor spend, because you didn't have these other things that were quite as expensive as the food and the paper part. So it gave me a lot more discipline to looking at a P&L, number one, I could tell you that. Number two, constantly hiring, constantly training. The more you train someone, the more money you made. Even though you spent money training, you made more money because they were more efficient. And if they were more efficient, your dollars per man hour were better. So those are some things I learned right away. And that's my story, how I got into franchising.
And where was all this taking place? Where were you?
Oh, I was where I thought was the center of the universe, Carbondale, Illinois. So I had moved to that town to go to college when I was 18. And it was a great little town. I stayed there till I was 40. In fact, the only reason I really left was I was just getting too old to date the college students. So I had to move on to the big city, because it's a little college town,
Yeah. Now, where is that at? So I actually went to Quincy University, which is in Illinois, but nobody knows where that is either.
Yeah. So I'm the very southern tip of Illinois, which is an
no kidding. Okay, so you guys are south. Yeah. Okay.
Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, Little Rock are all closer of a drive than Chicago from that point in the state.
Well, that St. Louis was where I would fly to because we were like an hour and a half from there. So yeah.
Well, St. Louis is where I moved to. That was the big enough city to go find a wife. So
that's so far a great story. Now, so what was it about a pizzeria? Just from the college days, or
I enjoyed college to all the extremes it would allow me, and most of my nights ended outside of a pizza place trying to buy a slice of pizza before I went home. Right. So I knew pizza was a good business to be in, and I knew that not all pizza places were created equal. There was clearly places people preferred to go to, even though they were right next to each other on the same strip. So even if there was a line, people still got on that line because they thought the pizza was better or a better price or whatever it was. So.
Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead, DJ. So if I get off
No,
track
no.
here, just rein me in.
No,
But
you're good. Go ahead.
you said something near and dear to my heart because I spent 20
Yes, you
years
did.
training in a franchise organization, and so you talked about gaining the efficiencies and training of staff and that sort of thing. Can you dig just a little bit into how you were working with your staff to separate yourself from the others?
Yeah, I mean, so when you're dealing with, let's just say the fast food workers as a generalization, you have an opportunity to be one of the first people that actually show an interest in their development of anything, emotional, professional, skill sets, or whatever. So, when you see a big change in their confidence, it's a motivator, and it excites you, excites them, excites the other team members. Hey, this guy that owns this pizza place actually cares enough about me to give me some advice on how to handle issues with my teacher or my principal or my parents. Not that I'm a counselor by any means, but getting people to kind of like calm down on their emotions and just be like,
It's
let's
just
be logical
showing
about
that you care too.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say this quote, and it's not really a quote, but it's a phrase or something like that. But the world is full of people trying to be interesting. And there's no competition to be interested, right? So I've always made a point to be interested in everyone that I try to have a relationship with, whether it's personal or professional. Just be interested.
Bookmark 11:30 to 12:30, DJ. That was gold. That was fantastic. Be interested, not interesting. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Yes.
Golden words right there.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And I truly believe you're right about it's not that hard to be exceptional because so few people are out there trying to be, and just listening and caring goes a long way. Make it about others. So that was awesome. I really love that answer a lot.
The sad secret about being exceptional is you just have to be a little bit better than everyone else to be exceptional. That's what I tell my team. You just got to be a little bit better than everyone else in town. That's all you got to be exceptional.
Yeah.
And on the show with Ryan, and this might have been jumping ahead again to the salons, but you had talked about the 3 C's that you kind of use. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, every one of my businesses that I'm involved in, there's a lot of humans involved. Customers as humans, employees as humans. So when humans work with each other, sometimes there's breakdowns, right? And so when things don't happen the way that they're supposed to be, I've kind of come up with a formula in diagnosing what the issue is and what the remedy can be, right? So when you're dealing with 2 human beings, and think about this in a personal relationship or a professional relationship, when something doesn't work the way it's supposed to, it's either a commitment issue, it's a communication issue, or it's a capability issue. And in my younger years, I used to think it was just the first 2. It was commitment or communication, right? Because I had faith in everyone. And then I thought about this for a while, and I saw people that were so committed and so good at communicating and understanding me and my expectations, but they just could never get there. And then it finally dawned on me that I was never going to play in the NBA because I'm 5'10" and I can't dunk, right? So I'm never going to have that capability, even if I show up first, lace my shoes first, and show up on the court first, and have that commitment, and I can listen to the coach. I'm just never going to get any play time because I just suck, right? So I realized that. So the commitment issue is an employee side of the equation, right? And I always say this: if they're consistently showing up on time, they're committed. They may be misguided, but they're definitely committed. And then the communication side, that's almost solely on the leadership side, right? You have to be able to broadcast in many different colors of communication, of the communication spectrum. I call it like the peacock, right? And so everyone has their own personal color. Maybe it's red. Well, reds communicate naturally very well with reds and oranges and yellows, but they don't do so well with blues and greens. So you've got to get more colors in your plume. Yeah, look at that Rubik's Cube there. So as a leader, you've got to work on your colors. You got to be a bigger, brighter peacock is what I tell them. I'm like, be a good peacock, have all the colors. And so what that really means is that you can connect and communicate with people on their communication style, right? So, okay, so you've got those two things. And then capabilities. And capabilities, we cut that right down the middle. Half of that is the leader's responsibility to equip them and train them, develop them with the capabilities. And the other side is if they have the commitment, then there's also this thing that's maybe it's just not their natural calling in life. Like I'm not an NBA player. So that doesn't mean that you can't be in the organization. It means you can't be in the organization with that particular position or title or job duty. And so a lot of times people try to please because they have such a good relationship with their employer. They try to please them to the point where they're miserable trying to make the person they care about so happy. And so you got to identify what people's unique abilities are, and that's going to be their capabilities. And get them in, get your aces in their places, as we always would say at dinner time at Little Caesars.
Aces in their places. I love that.
So for this recording, DJ, we need to put a price on it because that was a masterclass again. People development, and I could do this forever, but I kind of cut the story short because there's more that came after Little Caesars. So we probably should continue with the story.
Now, but I love that you went there with the capability. That was one of the notes that I wrote down from the recording too, because and I think that's where most businesses, but Alex Hormozy, again, I shout him out all the time, but he has that idea, just finishing $100 million Leads, his new book. And he has that same idea. It's you hire, you don't need to be you don't want to be the smartest person on the team. You want to hire the smartest people. You hire and train those, and you don't need to fight for that. And you have that same idea of investing in your team. I think most people need to have that idea of investing in their team, but their self as well. I think that's something that most people they just forget. And so I love that your vision on that capabilities.
And the importance of capabilities in general, I get that from a coach of mine, Dan Sullivan at Strategic Coach. And he has said, I don't care anymore about making money. I make enough. But I'm interested in acquiring more capabilities. And funny enough, the IRS hasn't figured out how to tax you in acquiring capabilities. So to all the entrepreneurs out there,
amen to that.
Think about acquiring capabilities.
Yeah, don't give them any ideas though. IRS.
Acquiring capabilities is the next foreground of competitiveness. I think in the entrepreneurial world, you're going to make money, and whatever dollar amount you need to make to be happy, go for it. But after that, what do you do? Because another dollar in the bank account doesn't matter. But another capability, and those capabilities may be your capability, or you acquire the capability by having a good collaboration with someone else is a master at something, or you make that perfect hire like you talked about. So I'm in the capability business now. I'm trying to acquire as many capabilities as possible.
Fantastic. When we talk with a lot of small business owners, and the ongoing chatter right now is just about the cost of labor going up, and we're competing for we can't pay that much of a minimum wage, and they're always focused on the money side of things. What you went to, as you said, there can be more than just money, because in these situations you just can't make everybody that comes to work at Little Caesars rich.
No, you can't. It's just not how the system's set up, right?
Yeah, and so I'd love to see small business owners across the board just make that mind shift that maybe we can't do that, but at least we can do things that will enrich their lives and make them stronger and make the team better. But it's a difficult thing because there are real issues at play here, both financial from both sides of the story. So when you're looking for people, is there something you're looking for before you even give them a chance to come onto your team? Because you got those 3 C's, but sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But what is I guess what I'm asking is, what is your screening process kind of like?
Well, let's go back one step before that. And a question I get an awful lot, just in my franchising experience, I've been in 5 different industries. I've been Little Caesars, so I had restaurants. I was Valpak, so I had sales and marketing. Sport Clips, which is licensed cosmetologist. Oxi Fresh, which is kind of general labor, but our guys and girls are trained to be excellent at customer service and upsell. So there's a little bit of a sales component. There's a little bit of a service component there. And then the Ideal Image Medical Spas, we're hiring exclusively medical pros. So nurse practitioners, registered nurses, doctors, they're all different. And I'm fairly successful in all these categories. And people ask, well, how are you? And it's the same thing in every single business. As long as you know who your ideal customer is and who your ideal employee is for that business, you'll be successful. When you don't know one of those two, that's when it's a roll of the dice. So going back to your question now, when you identify what is the most ideal type of employee for that particular business, that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for that criteria. So, in the fast food business, number one, I want flexibility. Can you come in when someone else calls in sick? So I like flexibility. I like a positive attitude. And that's going to be, of course, across the grain. But the flexibility is so much more important for the fast food than it would be for a medical professional, because we're doing appointments. And so if we have a nurse practitioner call in sick, we can reschedule those appointments, right? We can do that. It's a little bit different. So the requirements of who we need and what we need are a little bit different.
So great clarity around your customer avatar and your employee avatar to make sure you're getting the right match. Very awesome. That's cool. And just to make sure, because I'm in an odd place here, but did you see balloons go by, DJ? Was that
I did.
I did, yeah. I wasn't gonna bring it up. I was kind of shocked by it too, but I'm like, man, he said something magical. Balloons just came up out of the screen.
I think the program was just saying I'm full of hot air. So
No,
I have yet to say anything so profound that balloons just show up. So I've got work to do.
Me neither. I might need to hit that word. But speaking of, you did mention Ideal Image. This was the only one that I did see from your LinkedIn, so I pulled it. But that is one of the brands he was just mentioning. But yeah, the balloons threw me off for sure. I'm not gonna lie. So let's transition a little bit. So obviously, when you reached out and we worked out you coming on the show, we talked about and highlighted the multi-unit conference, which I'll throw up again. And you are chairing that. And now Stacey, his background in franchising, he said he had never even heard of this. So I guess, can you tell why do people need to go to this who are in franchising world? What is, and what's the differences?
Well, so part of the reason why I reached out to you guys is because I thought your audience would get the most benefit out of this and actually understand some of the vernacular that I'm going to use. So doesn't matter what brand you sign up with. When you sign your franchise agreement, they immediately start handing you all these documents, operations manuals, things like that. And it's good. It's going to show you how to run that business within the four walls, so it looks, smells, and breathes like the brand. And that's so important. But one thing I have never seen a franchisor do is create a manual for multi-unit operations. Now, there's a reason for that. I don't think it's because of lack of effort or caring. Every single franchisee is a unique entrepreneur. What they want out of the business and what their unique abilities are to grow the business are all different. So when you hire people like area or district managers, those people are to complement your unique abilities, right? So how do you do that when everyone's a little different and what they really need is a little bit different from that person? So this conference is that multi-unit operations manual. And the reason I say that is there's over 2,500 people that attend this thing. They're all multi-unit operators of multiple locations, multiple brands, and you're going to run into a whole bunch of people that look just like you. All right. They're going to want to run their business and get what from their business, just what you're looking for. That's not to say everyone there is the same. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're going to find a lot of people are looking to have the same goals that you are with your business, that you can mentor with, network with, grow from, share your experiences too. So that's why I say it's like the operations manual for multi-unit operations, because you're going to find someone that has figured out how they spend 2 weeks in Germany and not have the whole place burned down while they're gone.
It's incredible how important that one lesson right there can be.
Right.
So we tried a long time to develop a multi-unit operations manual, and the best advice I could give folks was to go visit our best multi-unit operators and just spend time with them. Even at 42 or so hundred locations, our average per franchisee was still a little under 2 per. So it was the exception rather than the rule for us and a rather large franchise. So yeah, I'm right there with you. And at the conference, kind of give us a kind of a feel. What's a day in the life at the multi-unit franchise conference look like?
Yeah, well, the first day is not really the day, is not actually the conference. It's the come in, and if you're a golfer, they have a golf tournament. And if you're not a golfer like me, I've rented out the rooftop at the Link pool, and I'm having a pool party. So you can pick and choose, if you're a franchisee, which one you want to go to. And then that evening, we'll have a franchisee-only welcome reception. That is always a great time. It is great because it's the one and only time you're not dealing with vendors or other franchisors. You're just getting to network with people that eat and breathe and sleep exactly what you do for a living. So that's fun. But then the first day and the second day, there's always there's a keynote speaker for each day. And I can't announce yet who it is because we haven't inked, the ink isn't dry yet. But I can tell you it's going to be a well-known author that has spoke at the conference many, many years ago and got glowing receptions. And I'm excited to see this person again because they've written a couple more books that have been very insightful for me too. So that's going to be great. And I think we're going to have a couple other keynotes that are really knock the socks off of it. But besides that is that we'll have a couple panel discussions that are at Broad. We had a great panel discussion last year on how to evaluate a brand. And so we're kind of kicking off 2.0 of that and expanding on that a little bit more with some of the same cast members and bringing in some other cast members for that panel. And then the other thing is that we have tracks or breakout panels. So in years past, they've had breakout panels for people that have 5 to 20 locations and 20 to 50 locations and 50 and plus. And you just pick which panel you want to go and listen to. And they're going to have maintenance and development as a panel track. They're going to have development of team members, local store marketing. They're going to have a little bit of everything for you to step into. I think that's beneficial. But then probably the most exciting thing is I'm telling people it's the best happy hour in Vegas. So for 2 of the days from 3 to 6, I believe the time is, there is going to be hors d'oeuvres and open bar in a vendor area or an expo area where all the franchisors and some suppliers or vendors have booths. So you can literally just, have a drink in your hand, cocktail, whatever, and walk down, and you could visit with probably at least 100 different brands, that franchise brands that you could walk up, ask about territory availability, ask what the fees are, what the AUVs are. You're dealing with the development reps and the C-suites. A lot of times the founders are there. And while you're doing that, you're running into all the other franchisees that are looking at the same thing. So I've actually spawned off some good friendships by just being in the same booth, looking at a third brand at the same time and hearing their questions. We're like, that was the question I was going to ask. Well, tell me, why did you ask that question? Because here's why I asked that question. And, I can tell you this, that some of my best relationships from the conference are other people that are in the hair industry, but they're not in the same brand as me. Luckily, they're not in the same market as me, so we're not direct competitors. But just to give you an idea, during the pandemic shutdown, all the salons in the United States had to shut down. State by state, they got to reopen. And it was just a wild, wild west, what to expect, what the rules and regulations were, expectations, everything. So, there was a group of us that were all different brands. We just got on a text thread, and every time one of our states opened up, we said, okay, here's how we opened. This is what we did. Here's what I wish I didn't do. Here's what I wish I knew. And, it was just a sharing of information because everyone was in the same boat. We were just trying to survive.
So it sounds like an amazing networking / masterminding event going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that I don't share industry secrets. I wouldn't do that. But my personal, how I manage my multi-locations and my philosophies, those are unique to me. They're not unique to any of my particular brands. And I've got other friends that have similar but different ones too. We share them with each other because we're like, I'll tell you everything, because if you don't execute, it doesn't matter anyway. So you can know all my secrets, because if you're not going to actually pull the trigger and do them, who cares? And you start paying attention to the people that actually pull the trigger, and you're like, I got this idea. You want to try it first? Because I don't want to try it first, kind of thing.
Now, what about
you could be my experiment lab.
What about a single unit owner that's aspiring to be multi-unit? Have you got a track?
I got to be honest with you. Unless you're a Chick-fil-A franchisee, you got no business just having one location. That's not what this is meant for. Get into something that you own 100%. There's no systems and no benchmarking. If you're just a one location kind of person, I think franchising in general is a multi-unit situation, and there's a reason for that too. I think we do more for our communities having a manager, getting a nice manager salary and a manager bonus, and then hopefully at some point a district manager. If you're just a one location person, how much opportunity are you creating for people in your community?
I love that. No,
I don't think
I agree.
So that one unit person, they absolutely need to come to this conference, because the rakes that I've stepped on to get to 50 locations, I would love to make it so other people don't have to step on those rakes as hard as I did.
So what was your path to growth? Because and I don't know if you find this true or not, but I've heard it said a million times that going from one location to two is harder than going from 2 to 50.
It probably is. I always tend to cheat as much as I can, and so that's why I had my brother become my partner with me. And so that 1 to 2 location was pretty easy, because we just went from working in the same location to each of us in our own locations. And then we got a little competitive, like, hey, I've got higher sales, I've got better food, paper, and labor. We got like that. So for us, we didn't feel that pain until we got to 3 or 4 locations. But there is a difference there for sure. But having 2 locations and knowing that both of them aren't identical no matter what. And look, I can't think of someone that would have been a better operator than me other than my brother. So when we were benchmarking everything, I knew he was giving me 110% because I was trying to beat him, and I was giving him 110%. So it allowed me to have some kind of balance in saying, hey, not every location that you open will be a home run right when it opens. Sometimes they open high. Sometimes you got to fight to get them up there, So, and it's not has anything to do with the owner. It has everything to do with the market. The market wasn't ready for a big opening, or it wasn't ready to have another location so close to the existing location, as an example, and you just had to grow it organically instead of through mass marketing.
Now, with your growth, was it from the ground up, or did you go in and look for distressed or locations that you bought out, or maybe high performing ones that you bought out?
This is a great example of the benefit of the multi-unit conference too. So my brother and I, we had figured out a formula that we were able to, especially our sport clips, we were making our money back in 24 to 36 months. The total investment, right? Wow. So we figured out how to have really big, strong grand openings. So, you're looking at a 1 to 2.5 times earnings kind of thing, I guess is a good way to look at it. That was so much cheaper for us than to go buy existing units at 3.5 to 5.5 times earnings. So the first 10 years of our existence of franchisees, we solely opened. I was a road warrior, opened 4 or 5 locations a year, all out of state. And I was spending an average of 5 weeks per opening on location, between recruitment, grand opening, getting the store ready, checkups, and things like that. So, with 5 locations, I'm looking at 5 times. That's 25 weeks. That's half the year. I was living in a hotel room. I could only do that for so long. And one of my mentors, who had hundreds of locations, was like, "You really need to start buying them." I'm like, it costs more money to buy them. He's like, but you could buy more than you can open in a year in one transaction. And I'm like, well, that's a lot. He's like, it won't be, he's like, buy a couple at a time. You'll get used to it. You can start chunking it. So more than half of my growth has been from acquisitions. And I'll tell you what, I'm still opening up brick and mortar locations when I see an A+ location. I happen to be in some pretty mature brands. So it makes more sense for me to buy good performing locations than to try to find that one A+ hidden gem that no one else has seen yet either. So,
Yeah, that
but
makes
I
a lot
got
of
that
sense.
advice from the multi-unit conference.
Yeah,
There it is.
here it is. Yeah, I've been dominating, DJ. What have you got, dude? I know
No,
you had a list of questions when we started this.
I mean, honestly, he's hit everything that I really wanted to go through. So I guess just deeper into, unless you have some questions, we can just go deeper into some of his, I guess what's next and stuff.
Yes. So you're in multiple brands now. You've got the conference going. So obviously you're staying very busy. When you're evaluating, because we have a lot of folks that join us who are still in the evaluation process. They haven't made that choice yet. They're kind of in their corporate job, corporate life, feeling the itch, but haven't made the move. So when you're going through this now, what are some things you look for? What are some things you would tell someone that's just at that very beginning that they should really look for?
Well, I
Good question.
have always looked at how long does it take for me to make my investment back? Because I've kind of looked at money as time and not actual like a dollar amount. So whether it costs $250,000 or $1 million to open the location, how many months does it take for me to get it back? And then cash flow. So I've always looked at that, and I think that's an important thing. One of the best panels from last year's multi-unit was where these guys were at a different level than I am, a stratosphere above me, and they were like, we're not talking about the top 20%, we're talking about the 50%, the average unit sales, and the multiple is when you're ready to exit. Are you getting more money for that location than what it costs you to build it? And so many of my acquisitions I've been able to acquire at 3.5 or 4 times earnings for less than what it would cost to build it.
Mm.
So, and they weren't bad locations; they were cash flowing locations. So now, when I'm evaluating a brand, I want to know how fast it is to get into it and how fast it is to get out of it. You should be able, hopefully, to make some money when you sell it. Now, I can tell you that most of the people I know were like, well, you made your money back over the first 4 years and you've had it for 7 years. And so you cash flowed and made money. So, if you sell it for $50,000 less than what it cost you to build it 7 years ago, you still made a lot of money on that deal. Right. And I look at it much differently now because of that breakout panel, that my exit should be bigger than my entrance. If not, maybe the brand's not right for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks, when they're evaluating, they spend all their time on the entrance and almost zero time on what the exit plan is going to look like. So I think that's really solid advice.
Yeah.
The now is do you really, because you're in so many different industries, some people just look for I want to do this, but in franchising, the world is kind of your oyster here. Do you have any particular industry you're looking for, or is it really just about the opportunity and it doesn't really matter the industry?
It's total opportunity for me, but I will tell you, we sold our Little Caesars in December of 21. We got a great deal on it. The brand was on a rebound, doing well. So it was a good time for us to exit, and we parlayed that money into our Ideal Image medical spas. And what's happened is it's been 2 years almost now, and my brother and I were kind of missing the food business. So we're actively looking for a food concept that's the right size for us.
I ran into one. We might have to talk backstage. I ran into one that is very similar to Cousin's Maine Lobster, but it's here locally. So
Okay.
yeah, here in Virginia Beach. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually met some of the people from Cousins Maine Lobster at the Franchise Development Leadership Conference.
Nice. Yeah, they're blown. I mean, that concept is crazy.
Yeah, it's mostly food truck, right?
Yeah.
So you've got your conference going on. You also are a proponent of IFA.
I'm a huge advocate. I think my official title is I'm Secretary of the Franchisee Forum of the IFA. So the IFA, the International Franchise Association, is a professional organization for franchisors and franchisees and suppliers. So suppliers could be anyone from like Soci or Fran Connect that provides software solutions to brokers and FSOs that help facilitate acquiring new franchisees. So think of it like a three-legged stool, and you have the franchisor, you have the franchisee, and you have the network supplier.
There's another bubble.
You like that?
He's hitting major. This is amazing. I don't know if this is my app or you. I don't know where that's coming from. He hit another golden. Rewind that back if you guys didn't catch it, but that was awesome. Sorry.
Yeah. So the weakest leg has been the franchisee forum, and partly it's just because the franchisees are the slowest to come to this organization and be involved. And so we're building momentum. Every time we have a meeting, there's more people in the room than there was the last meeting. And part of the niceness of this is there's no history or legacy that we have to live up to. So we're redefining what this is going to be. And we're going to have it be part mentorship and guest speakers in the franchisee forum. So that's why I'm going to advocate as many franchisees go to the IFA conference, get involved. Another thing the IFA does that I love is the IFA Summit. I believe that's what they call it these days. In September every year, franchisees and franchisors get together and we go to Capitol Hill. The IFA sets up all the meetings. So you're going to meet with the senators and the representatives from your state, and you're going to talk to them about franchising and small business. And it's a great experience. It's fun. You get to see how the government really works. It's much different. You realize very quickly that it's young 25-year-olds that are making all the decisions on legislation and not the actual elected people for the most part, and how smart they are. It's amazing. You could tell these guys and girls are going to have bright futures, even if they don't go into politics. They're just very smart, very mature, more mature and more smart than I was at that age, for sure. And my children are still young. My oldest will be 13 in a couple months. When they're high school seniors, I've already made the commitment to them. I'm going to pull them out of school and bring them to that. So then they can actually go on Capitol Hill and they can meet elected people of Congress, and they can see the cafeteria that all the senators eat at. And, just little things like that are really unique experiences that I didn't get to experience until I was in my 40s. So if I can get them at the age of 17 to be able to experience some of that, that's pretty awesome. So the IFA does that. One of the parts that we'd like to work with at the local level is there is a local office for all these senators and representatives that are probably just down the road from one of our locations. And so facilitating, round boards or discussion groups and talking about things like franchising and co-employment and all those things. I think that's huge, because really what happens is the entrepreneur realizes they're far more in control of their destiny. It's been so easy. As an example, there's a House and a Senate bill that is a tax bill that will help make salons have the same tax guidelines for employee taxes as restaurants and bars. Right now, restaurant and bars have a different tax guideline than everyone else in the world. So I have been able to get all walks of life, both sides of the aisle, to be co-signers for this. 50% of them was when I was in DC doing this. I've gone and done this a couple times. The other half is when I've been able to facilitate, discussion groups at the local level. And it's amazing that, now I got to be honest with you, taxes for the most part, especially for salons, small business, minority-owned majorities and women-owned majorities, it's not that uncompelling of a reason to say, yeah, I should co-sign on this. It's not the third rail of any political institution that you're going to have to worry about. So getting co-signers for that, but just asking and making them aware of the House bill or the Senate bill, and realizing that you have influence when you actually take the time to go meet people. That was so powerful to me, and I can't wait to get my children involved in that, because everyone's complaining about the government or this or that. It's like, well, get involved.
Do something.
Be part of the solution.
Yeah. The and IFA, through whether it's through LinkedIn or through their email blast, they're always sharing articles and white papers and free classes and things that you as a franchisee could benefit from as well. So I also encourage people to seek them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. So Well, so we're about to, it looks like we're getting close to time. So obviously final kind of wrap ups and where we could find Jesse and stuff. Jesse, this has been amazing. We have to have you back on. Your experience and this has been a master class for our audience. So thank you for this.
Well, you guys were talking earlier about doing a live show from the multi-unit. I would love to, jump on that and be one of your guests on that. And I could probably wrangle quite a few other people that would be great interviewees for you.
Yeah, and
You
I'm
figure
thinking
that-
maybe
you
a
figure out how to do that
pool
at the
party
game.
on top of the link. We can
We could do that.
Yes. Well, again, seriously, this has been awesome. And there is some questions I wanted to get into tech. I guess the one thing I will tell you, I will ask this is, so from your episode, and again, shout out to Cast Magic, and that's why I'm going to the tech direction to begin with. But really, Cast Magic is amazing. So if you do speaking engagements like you, Jesse, this would even be amazing for you. You pop your keynotes or your speaking engagements into that, and it'll really break down and just kind of give you some, I guess, key points and a lot of different things that you maybe didn't catch or know. And so one of the questions from there was, how does Jesse Kaiser leverage emotional messaging and AI to enhance branding and recruitment efforts? And we talked obviously with like Coach had mentioned, it's tough to recruit right now. Is human capital is the hardest for any business, no matter what business you're in. So I think just going into that as a final thoughts, and then if you just where they can find you, and how you can help, and just a little more on that if you want to wrap up there.
So as far as recruiting and the human capital thing, if you think about this, Chick-fil-A has a line out the door every day, open to close 6 days a week. And it's not because they sell the best chicken sandwich, it's because they employ and develop the nicest people possible, in my opinion. So I think this is here to stay, and that Chick-fil-A is just one of the first to have actually figured it out, right? And when you figure it out and you're, like I said, just a little bit better than everyone else, that's why you have a line down the door. I'm using AI now because I've got years and years and years of all these recruitment emails and Indeed job postings and LinkedIn job postings, and I'm just feeding it into the Chat GTP and then asking it to create a ad or an email that is in the voice of XYZ or the parody of. Yep. And so, every time there's just an example for cosmetologist, boy, when like September 20th comes around and it's pumpkin spice season, they go crazy. I mean, almost every woman in my life goes crazy.
I was going to say, I think all women go crazy for pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I just asked Chat GPT. I'm like, can you make me a recruitment email for a cosmetologist that talks about pumpkin spice a lot? And it was this hilarious. And I said, put some emojis in there too, and it created this hilarious thing. And of course, I'm reading it. I'm not a cosmetologist. I get them. I think I got the pulse on it, but you go ask some cosmetologists what they think about it. They read this and they think it's hilarious, right? So because it's hilarious, they take the time to read it. So right now, if you go on Indeed as an example and you start looking at jobs, what does it say? Hourly rate, hours of operation, what are your benefits? It's very cold. It's very boring. It's not engaging, right? So the fact that now the company may not be an actual fun place to work, but if the ad is, at least they'll inquire to find out if it really is or not, right? So It doesn't mean that you can't not be serious. I was very serious. Everything in that ad was very true. It just we were tongue in cheek about some of this stuff, right? And how we approached it. And so I don't know if I said this on the last call, but I've got a philosophy in my company that if something happens more than once, that we need to create a procedure or a system for it, right? And so our quote is, we're going to systemize the predictable so we can humanize the unpredictable. And I would say that is probably, besides overdeveloping, I think that is the key to how I have really good employee retention. Is there's going to be a situation where Susie, who's worked for you for 5 years, all of a sudden doesn't show up on time or doesn't show up for a shift, but she's always showed up on time. It's like, you've got a rule book here and you're supposed to write her up, but maybe you should just call her and see if she's all right. And find out what's going on, and if she just found out that her husband has cancer and is going to die in 6 weeks. I don't know. I'm not writing Susie up for that. Like, she's got far worse problems than a write up from me about that. And my humanization of that situation, they do remember it. You know, they do remember it. They may not be able to articulate it 5 years from now, but they'll have a warm, fuzzy feeling that someone was understanding, right? And that's probably, we could end almost all arguments if people just felt like they were understood. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to do what they say. But if they feel like they've been understood, you validated their thoughts and feelings, and that's important.
More gold, Coach. That was more gold. Thank you for that, Jesse.
We're gonna have some good shorts on the videos out of this one, so this is gonna be good stuff.
All right.
This is gonna be well. Again, Coach, final thoughts, and then I'll take us out.
I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and sharing. I really, and I'm not just saying this because you're the guest on the show. I really think the items you shared today are so helpful and so valuable. When I said it's gold, I'm not just saying that. I truly believe it. That was really good stuff, and I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing with our folks.
Well, I appreciate that. Just as a reminder too, the multi-unit franchise conference is in Las Vegas. It's March 19th through the 22nd of next year, 2024.
Yep.
Get in early, celebrate St. Patty's Day, and jump right over to the conference.
Yeah, this is it. This is the conference he's talking about, y'all. So if you want to, March 19th to the 22nd.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, again, reach out and Jesse, where can they find you if they? I mean, you again, like Coach said,
you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just look for Jesse Kaiser. I've got an entrepreneur page for both of them, and I'm accessible by either one of them.
Perfect. Jesse, seriously, thank you again. Our audience, you did leave. It was amazing info. I can't wait to break this down. So, Coach, me and Coach will break down the show on Thursday. So, if you do want to get a chance to stop in, say hi. If you do catch us on Thursday, but we will go deeper into some of the gold we're talking about. We'll use Cast Magic to really break it down.
Cool.
But yeah, this has been amazing. So seriously, thank you.
Thank you both. I really appreciate the time.
All your time, man. Well,
all right,
guys, if you found this useful, if you found anything that Jesse shared, please like and subscribe below. If you are catching this on either Summit Mentor on or the Robinhood Capitalists on YouTube, or in our Facebook groups. Again, if you found this useful or beneficial, any of the advice Jesse had, which really was gold. So whether you're a single unit and you want to eventually go to a multi-unit, it sounds like the best place to go to get the golden nuggets and the connections is the conference. So sign up. That's your key to growth. And really, with Jesse, what he said, I think, Jesse, what you gave to everybody out there is the key that Alex talks about. The key that really helped me is finding mentors. Find somebody first find your target, set your target, your goal, what you're shooting for, and then who is doing it best, and find that person. Copy them, reach out to them, see what they can do. You'd be surprised on who really is willing to help, just like Jesse did right now. I mean, the information you gave and the time you shared is I mean, there's people that pay lots of money for that. So again, thank you seriously for joining us, and Coach, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, until Thursday, y'all. We'll see you.
Gonna be a good one Thursday.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just